Okay, this is our practice about pronouns. Just like we do with most of our simple skills, because pronouns, there's a lot of different types and they seem kind of hard, but pronouns really are not too tricky once you understand what we're doing. We've got worksheet packets that we're doing in class. When you've got worksheet packets, the first thing you want to do, find the directions, find the answers, and highlight them. That way it's screaming at you in orange. Look! This is what I'm supposed to do, and this is what I use to do it. Pronouns, in as simple a words as possible, are a substitute for a noun. If you are saying a sentence about Mr. G's class, you say, in Mr. G's class, we all sit at the desks. In Mr. G's class, he makes us do work. In Mr. G's class, it's repetitive. Sounds ridiculous. Makes you sound like one of those Spot the Dog books everybody read in first grade. Spot ran down the street. Spot chased the ball. Spot chased the car. The car didn't see Spot. So sad for Spot. We don't want Spot. Eventually we either want to say he or it or something else so that we're not just repeating over and over and over and over again. So, even though we kind of feel sad for Spot, okay, we feel really sad for Spot. Spot just had a bad day. What pronouns can we use for Spot? Spot a guy or a girl? I don't know. Could be him. Could be her. Could be he. If we look around this room, which they can't do on a computer, but if I look around this room, I can point at least 10 people that are he. I can point at least 10 people that are him. I can point at least 10 people that are her. I can point at least 10 people that are she. Pronouns are not specific. They are substitutes for a noun, which is specific. If I said he and I said Steve, yeah, I know who Steve is. If I say he, I have no idea. An antecedent to a pronoun is, what is the pronoun? If I say it and I mean Spot, Spot is the antecedent. You have to use the noun first, and then later on you can put in substitutes for it so you're not Spot the dog and it's just saying Spot, Spot, Spot all over again. The first thing we're going to talk about, personal pronouns. And honestly, we just kind of did. Personal pronouns. I, me, my, you, your, yours, she, hers, her, he, him, we, us, they. They are pronouns that you can substitute for either one specific person, one specific thing, or one specific group. If I said, my class right now is doing a really good job being quiet, they are going to be really happy when we're done. Who's they? Well, that's you guys. If I said the crowd at the hockey game was getting a little out of control, they are going to be unhappy with the security coming out into the stands. That's a whole different they. You can substitute for a person. You can substitute for a thing by saying it. Or you can substitute for a group using a personal pronoun. First, second, and third person, this is a little trickier. You have to know that com-art skill, that first-person speaker, second-person story, third-person story. And in a first-person story, the story is being told by a person who is in the story. I am living this story, and I am telling you. So the pronouns I would use are I, my, mine, ours, us. Things that show you I live in the story, I am a character in the story, and I'm telling you the story. Third-person pronouns are stuff like he, him, his, her, its. Because in a third-person story, it is a person outside of the story, a narrator telling the story, not involved in the story. Those are the two most common types of person point of view stories, first and third person. The second person is where you are being spoken to. That is you or your. If I'm giving you directions, most of the times I'm giving you directions in second person. You should be doing this. You need to get to work. You need to get your stuff. So that's first, second, and third person. Possessives are a little different, just the same as possessive nouns are a little different, but we don't use apostrophes in possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns, just change the word. If it's minis, it's also hers. If it's Steve's, it's also his. If it's our class's work, then it's also ours. Possessive pronouns are a little trickier to get, just because it's not an exact substitution like if it's a guy, it's a her. You have to substitute for ownership. Who owns what? It's easy when you see it. It's a little more difficult when you're trying to talk it or think it through. So always look for your highlighted boxes that are going to tell you the answers especially. Or always use some kind of a resource. Interrogative pronouns are question words. Your W's. Who, which, what, whose, and whom. And we had talked the other day about being interrogated, like if you get called in from recess and there are 10 people going down to the office and everybody's sitting by themselves, and then Miss Lane's like, next! What's she going to do? She's going to use the W words. Who did it? Whom is at fault? She's going to use interrogative pronouns. They are asking questions, and they all start with the W. And once again, that's who, which, what, whose, whom. Her last one is indefinite pronouns. And indefinite pronouns are a little out there. Indefinite pronouns are pronouns that can refer to pretty much anything. Like my first example, any. Anybody can do this. Anybody is a pronoun. Who do I mean? Well, it can be anybody in this class, right? If I say anybody can do this, it can be anybody in this class. It could be anybody in this school. It could be anybody in this world. Anybody refers to a non-specific group. Nobody, none, nothing. These all substitute for something in a general way. Without saying any names. Do you have any questions about pronouns? Raise your hand and ask if you have a question about pronouns. Fear not the recorder, it's okay. So we're good on pronouns. Ma'am, ask your question. Ask it loud though. Not so much. How about when the computer's off?